Back to Eve Focus Fontia. Hi, hello, and welcome to John O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School. And thank you. Thank you very, very much for all of you who kind of expressed such warm regard and such supportive words of gratitude to myself and Laura for our 90-day challenge. We set ourselves the goal. We kind of struggled at times and we still delivered though. We turned up and we kind of gave video content every single day from January to March. So yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Where we are now is that we're planning to do a commitment, one video a week from me here and one from Laura here, and then another one over in the Irish Pagan School Patreon. So yeah, it's been interesting. It has. It's like the program, the discipline, the kind of the turning up, the making sure I was there, the generating content, the engaging with the questions and answers, the emails, etc. Was such a big part of the routine that was needed to kind of gain the experience turning up here in YouTube. But yeah, just to it was nice to have to do it every single day, or every second day, although I was doing videos days and recording. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So the video that I have today, the talk point is actually about what I'm wearing right now, because we do get comments time and again, like wondering what John, what's your t-shirt say? What, I can't read all of it, mainly because I'm kind of slouchy in my chair, but there we go. So this one is, it says, Neil Sail Gone Allard, which translates as there is not a wise man without fault. And this is actually what's known as a shannuckle. Shannuckles it's kind of old words. If you were to take a literal translation, the word shan in Irish means old, and uckle, or focal, F-O-C-A-I-L, is the Irish word for word. So it's old words, which inevitably means a cliche or a saying. And so we have a series of t-shirts that we did over in eelotter.net because we really wanted to have the t-shirts. But I've jumped ahead. I need to kind of tell you a story if you're interested in knowing a story about where Eel Otter comes from. So Eel Otter here is the brand that Lora and I kind of founded together for another aspect or element of our business. So there's the Irish Pagan School, which of course is the teaching and all of the classes and the courses. And, you know, I've ranted and rambled about that absolutely loads because, you know, I'm a big fan of it. And also I'm kind of relieved that it exists now because it didn't exist for myself and Laura and there was no one else available to do it. I've told the history of the Irish Pagan School before. So at the same time as we were building and going along with stuff and kind of going through that exploration of creativity, and, you know, I say stuff at times, it's like, oh geez, that'd be great on a t-shirt. Or Laura would say something, it's like, geez, that'd be great on a t-shirt. And so we were constantly bouncing back and forward about, like, and it's like, oh, I should write that down. I should do a blog post about that, or I should kind of remember that because that was funny or that was whatever. And we actually got to the point of like saying, I really just want that on a t-shirt. I need the t-shirt. It needs to be a real thing. And so that's where we decided to look into it and say, okay, well, can we do this? Can we form another element of the, you know, like side, like it's not Irish Pagan School, it's Eel Otter, but it exists because we really wanted it to. There were far too many amazing kind of things, quotes from Irish history, shannuckles like this, conversations we had about deity, various types of deity, but also then commentary on the culture at the moment and what's going on in the world around us, and, you know, our stance as activists in our own ways. So we needed a place to have that. And we wanted to, you know, as they say, you know, like wear the t-shirt, to like go the distance and buy the t-shirt. That is not even a cliche. Anywho, yeah. So we were looking at this and it was like, but what are we going to call it? Where are we going to, where's the name going to come from? You know, we can't just Lora and John merch, you know. And we, back in the time when we were like still building all of this, a big chunk of the platform and the work we were doing was through Patreon. And through Laura's Patreon, we were doing site visits, where we would once a month go about Ireland, and we would kind of go and we would bring like video camera and audio, and we'd kind of take people around, walk at the ancient heritage sites, record it as much as we could, But then Lora would also do a guided journey, a guided meditation as part of her practice in those sites. And then she would share her experiences. Like as soon as she comes out of that journey, she would record, go straight away into the video to record the experience of that guided journey in that particular location as it connects to the landscape of Ireland, as it connects to the history of Ireland, and her experiences as an energetic working as a pagan. And so a lot of them were very, very fascinating. But while we were going through this formative period of the Irish pagan school and this idea about doing a merchandising arm, we went on a site quest. We went on a site quest. Sorry, I ended up calling them quests because it became a bit of a quest. We'd be like, there's this part in the story, there's this place in this book, there's this place of Irish lore, or like where is that? And some of them, like Rathcroghan is a preserved site, Hill of Tara preserved site, Bruna Boyne, the Boyne Valley. There's a lot of things that are very, very well recognized, but there are hundreds of almstones stones all around the country which are partially documented in some cases but are still recognized heritage sites. But then there's also all of the other stories and all of the other kind of important places. And so this particular month, Lora and I decided to set ourselves the challenge of to find the Ford. And so you might not, well, I don't know, you probably know at this point, the god I work for in the Irish pantheon is the Dagda. Of course, Lora is a priest of the Morrigan. And when we're talking about the Ford, we're talking about that Ford. So during the Cath Maithura, the Battle of Maithura, the Dagda leaves the conference, the 3-year conference with the other kind of gods about the forthcoming Fomorian invasion. And he goes in search of the Morrigan. He goes across the country to find her. And where he finds her is at the ford of the River Unshin. And it said that he comes on her where she is standing, and she's one leg on one side of the ford, one leg on the other, and she's cleaning herself, she's cleansing herself, she's undoing her tresses in her hair. And he kind of stays and he watches her for a bit, but then of course he comes to join her, and they couple in the ford, and the ford is then from then on called the bed of the couple. And so this is the interaction that they have as a wedded couple, because they are married. Now again, they are, marriage, different term, Brehon laws, ancient laws, we don't even know. They are a union, they are a couple, a partnership. And so there is this mention of the Ford, and it's a pretty important part for their interactions, because after they couple in the Ford, she kind of, seeing the future as she does, informs him where the Fomorians are going to land, which then sets up him being able to go to them and to try and figure out, or to spy in some way, or to kind of broker peace in some way. It leads to the later stories, but it does come from the fact he gets the information of where they're going to come from her meeting at the ford on the River Unshin. And so we both knew the story, of course, so we got out the maps. Even the printed atlases, the car maps, the printed atlases, into the Google Maps, and of course looking for the River Unshin. And we found it, and we spent a time driving up and down this river trying to suss it out, trying to find, is there a ford? Is there a place? Where's the narrowings? Where's the openings? What can we access as private people wandering around? And some of it, of course, is in private land, so you can't just wander into other private land. And so we spent this entire day going back and forward looking for the ford. To our personal experiences, we believe we found it, or found as close to it as we could, despite the fact that this is like thousands of years later, of course. But we found the River Unshin. We found, the place that kind of resonated with both of us. And of course, Lora goes and does her guided journey. So I wander off. I'm a woods person, not a river person. I'm off in the woods roaming around. But I come back, and Lora has just come out of her journey, her experience. And I was like, and I always check in. I always make sure that she's all right when she comes back. She absolutely 100% knows her stuff, and is very much skilled in that process that she created, which again, all of the guided meditations and journeying work that Lora teaches involves a safe going in and a safe coming back. So, that's crucial to both of us. We're not going to be teaching any kind of journeying or otherworldly processing without being able to build the framework or the skills to look after yourself first as you go through your own spiritual growth and energetic practice. So she comes back, and we're chatting about it, and she's like, yeah, so had a weird experience. And I'm like, that's kind of normal. And she's like, no, this is pretty interesting, because the River Unshin being about them too, her kind of perceptions or possibility was that she would experience the two deities. But when she went through the journey to the River Unshin in the energetic sense, she didn't see the deities. And she was confused for a moment. And then she looked into the river because there was all splashing and noise happening in the river. And in the river, she saw an eel swimming with an otter. And they were just playfully swimming back around, chasing each other in the water, like, just enjoying each other's company. And then she finished her journey and came back, and she was confused. It's like, well, this is supposed to be a pretty important place for them, for the Dagda and the Morrigan, and I didn't see the Dagda and the Morrigan. All I saw was an eel and an otter. At which point it's like, well, we know she's a shapeshifter. 100% she's a shapeshifter. And it's very clearly down in the Tawn that one of the forms that she shapeshifts into is an eel. And I was like, but she's like, what's with the otter? And she's like, I don't understand why there would be an otter there. And I was like, well, do you think it's possible that he's a shapeshifter? Because at no point in the lore, and I want to be clear on this, very, very clear, at no point in the lore does it say that the Dagda is capable of shapeshifting. Doesn't clarify. It's not listed amongst his abilities. But given that they are a union of equals, they are each other's kind of balance and partner, that comes with a certain level of ability that would require a certain understanding of balance and counterbalance. And we do know that he is the good god of occult knowledge and druidry, which may include, but not be listed specifically as, the element of shapeshifting. And so I kind of put this question to her, and I was like, do you think he's otter-like? And she's like, no, he's a fucking... Well, she didn't say no. Again, this was a long time ago. I'm telling a story, so this is not exact. This is paraphrased as well from experience. She was like, it's possible, but again, clear where we're in the unique personal gnosis as opposed to the Irish lore. At no point in the Irish lore does it link the Dagda to otters. He's linked to pigs, he's linked to kind of cows, pretty much pigs and cows. Sorry, I'm checking my brain. But he's not linked with the other. At no point is he actually in the lore anywhere linked with the other. So we're like, yeah, that's a bit weird. And of course, we then finished the side quest. We kind of journey back on home, but the image kind of just stuck with us. And so we're then running into this. Well, like, if we're going to do this t-shirt stuff and take it seriously, we do need a brand. It's not going to be Irish Pagan School, because we want to be able to have some other space to express ourselves. Okay, being an Irish person, it does inform our teaching, of course. Being influenced by the Irish landscape, the Irish culture informs our teaching, of course. But our opinions as activists, say, or as feminists, or as whatever, it's important to kind of decide what fits where, if that makes sense. Even though in my mind, feminism is as standard as everywhere and fits technically everywhere. But we wanted to say, okay, well, we wanted to just have a clarity. And so that's where, again, it just popped back up into Laura's mind, like this eel and otter. It's a him and her. It's a balance. It's a union of things that are different but are equal. So we decided to call it the Eel and Otter. So we had a nice little logo done. This one's a little bit faded. So this is the eel forming the E, and the otter here is actually looping around itself with its tail over here into an O. So our Eel and Otter is the brand that we came up with. And so from there, we just hit at it. It was like, okay, well, we need to have a Dagda t-shirt, and then that turned into multiple Dagda t-shirts. We need to have Morrigan t-shirts, multiple Morrigan t-shirts. We need to have t-shirt representation for the other two out of Dannon. We have t-shirts for Monaghan, who's not technically two out of Dannon. But then as everything began to roll, the word Tua became very important to us, for tribe, which is, tribe isn't family. The Irish word for family is clan. Tua is something bigger. Tua is like a collection, a gathering, multiple people, multiple kind of people in a locale, or multiple people in a community. So that's the word we use for community. And so then we started the Om series. And so we did an entire t-shirts of like the Oms with the actual Om printed on them, and the word Oscuelga in Irish, but then the translations in English within the actual blog posts that we did. So Eel and Otter became quite a big substantial thing for the amount of effort that was going into it, because there was a lot to do it. But we weren't pushing it. We weren't kind of like, making a big push of like, well, this is the business, because we didn't want it to be like, oh yeah, sell, no matter what. We really wanted it to be a space of like, when I have a feeling about a t-shirt, that I want that t-shirt. And most of our drawers upstairs, both Laura and myself, are probably our chief customers, because we absolutely love the quality of what we choose, and we always are careful about what we will choose as the kind of print on demand items as well. But yeah, we put a lot of work into making sure they're as quality as we can be, but then also the print, the design. Laura has a past in arts and graphic design and stuff like that, so that really comes in useful. John just comes up with ideas. It's like, oh, it'd be great if we blah 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 blah, and then just does some design. Laura's like, yeah, we need to align that properly, hit a font, change it out, and so every kind of t-shirt that appears, every kind of mug actually as well, stickers. We got into hoodies. We've done caps recently enough. All of that is a union of both Laura and my skill, from creativity, but then also to design and expertise. And we love the hoodies. The hoodies are just so big and squishy and comfy. And so we don't push it forward. It's not a case that we're marketing it everywhere or trying to it's not about that. It's about trying to find some items that sing to our culture or sing to these stories. Like, one of my personal favorites is yeah, actually, it was from the green outside. Laura and I were out walking the dog, and we're walking home one day, and we're literally across from where we live, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. And there's like a circle of mushrooms that have grown in this, and the green out there is very often and very frequently mowed, but still this circle of mushrooms that managed to come up, and I'm like, yeah, that's a trap. So if anyone knows anything about the Irish lore, getting caught in a fairy ring, which is often delineated by a circle of mushrooms out of nowhere in a very odd place, could leave someone trapped going around and around in circles until someone else comes and kind of drags them out of it. So I saw this circle of mushrooms, and I was like, yeah, that's a trap. Do not enter. And so that day I came home and I was like, can I design a t-shirt like that? And so we do. We have a t-shirt that has a circle of mushrooms on it, and it says, do not enter inside. So one of the other great ones is a comment from, I think it was Morgan Daimler. They're just brilliant. We absolutely love them. But it was this comment that it was Lan and she on the streets, Lan and she in the sheets. Either way, you're fucked. So it's a place for our humor. It's a place for us to be able to express things, but then also to wear some of our culture and make it more accessible. We have, as I said, this is Gaeilge, this is Irish. Neil Sale Gone Locht, and we have a whole load of these in a series known as the Sean Uckle series. We have a whole load of them in the Ohm series. So it means that people actually, yeah, there's a t-shirt that says Laura Gaeilge, which is talk Irish to me. And as a way of wearing something that can facilitate communication, wearing something that can, inspire thought-provoking circumstances, or wearing something that embodies the energy of the deity, the relationships, etc., that you want to work with. That's really kind of where we're coming from. I have so many of the Dagda t-shirts, and I keep, anytime my brain ticks over, it's like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. I now can go and make a t-shirt and actually order it for myself. And if anyone else wants one, great, that's totally fine. And it's eelotter.net. So I think that answers the question. We do get it often. Like, people pop down in the comments, it's like, I can't read your t-shirt, John. What does it actually say? Actually, it was quite recently one. I was wearing a t-shirt that says, ignorance may be bliss, but it's also no excuse. And it's a reminder to myself, about doing better. And just because I don't know something doesn't mean I should be allowed to just not improve myself or not take on board the teaching from another context. Just because you aren't aware that you're doing harm doesn't mean you're not doing harm. So it's that ignorance may be bliss, but again, it's also no excuse. There has to be better accountability, and when we know better, we have to do better. So that's a big drive behind it there as well. So I know I answered that question, but it put it in my mind that we're often wearing these t-shirts, but it's sometimes I talk about them. I did a t-shirt on the 3 strains of music, the Galtre, the Chianti, and the Suntre, and I did a video on that. But in general, I never actually talked about eelotter.net. I never actually talked about the entire site that exists. And not everyone is a t-shirt person. So again, that's why we have hoodies, and that's why we have mugs, So yeah, that's where that comes from. I'm not, we said we're not going to pushing sales or branding or anything on this channel, but it was a question that was asked in the community, and I thought it might be worth filling in the story and adding that up as well in case anyone else was interested. So again, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for popping by on our YouTube circumstance. If you are enjoying it, do hit the like button if you feel inclined to do so. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. You know, we do kind of bounce through and kind of see if there's something that we can talk about, or if there's a frequently asked question. If there's something that a lot of people touch base with us on, then it's worth us kind of trying to do a broad answer to kind of help as many people as we can. And yeah, if you don't want to miss out on a video, make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications. So I think that ticks all the boxes. Mad, you take a few days off from doing this on the regular, and some part of your brain is like, I don't need that information anymore. But I do, because I'm still going to be turning up here once a week and then popping over to the Patreon as well for the Irish Pagan School there to chat more. So again, Gaurav Mila Mahagas, thank you very, very much for being with us. If you're so inclined or so interested, I'll put a link to eelotter.net in the description. You can go and potter over there and see if there's something that catches your eye. Or if you have an idea, if you're like, I'd absolutely love a t-shirt on that, throw it in the comment. Who knows? You know, it might be something that inspires the next stage of creativity and design for both of us. So again, look after yourself, take care of yourself, and slán. Goodbye.